Well, good afternoon, guys and gals. It's George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man, and we're out here in the garage to start our project on the 2001 Chrysler 300M, replacing the inside tie rod bushings. And the first thing you want to do, if you have the capabilities, which I do still at the moment, when it's only less than 30 degrees, you want to turn your heater on. And yeah, there it is. Going to get it warmed up in here a little bit, make it 35 or 40, that would be comfortable. The nice part is I have it to my back while I'm going to be working here on this car. So the very first thing we're going to do, and I have a list here. I did get a list offline and some directions on how to do this, but not a video direction. So I'm going to give thanks to a guy by the name of Kimura, and here is a listing of all the tools that you're going to need. Okay, and you can pause that and read that list. I won't read it for you. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the wheels full lock to the left. And then the next thing I'm going to do is unhook the battery ground terminal, which is right over here on the fender well. See it right there? The positive one for jumping is over here. They're not directly on the battery. The battery is down underneath that air cleaner unit, and the way you get to it is through the fender well. So we're just going to remove this connection right up here. Alright, and that'll get us started. Now you notice that prior to starting this I did something else that is not absolutely necessary, but I removed the hood. And the reason I did it is, number one, I can get more light in there without the hood on it. The hood shades the lights. And the other issue is that this cowling here is going to be removed, the whole thing. And as you can see with the hood hinges here, with the hood in place, it would make it more difficult to get this out. So that was my reasoning for doing it, not because you have to, but because it just makes it easier. And yesterday being Thanksgiving, my son, this belongs to my youngest son, Chris, he and a friend of his came over and they held the hood while I unbolted it, and then they flipped it over up on top of the car, which is going to make my project a whole lot easier. There we go, that's where we do to get started. Because there's not a lot of slack in those cables and the stud is right in the fender there, I wrapped the cables, and there's actually two cables there for the ground cable. So I wrapped them in electrical tape to make sure that they weren't inadvertently touching the ground. So that's just an extra step that I took. Not required, but you might find it handy to have a magnetic tray to hold your nuts and bolts. That way they don't get lost. Now next we're going to remove the cowl, and it takes a T25 Torx bit, and I'm using it on an air ratchet to save my wrist, you know what I mean? Now, to be able to get the wiper arms off, you have to pop this little cap here off there, and you have to get the wiper arms off because the last Torx screw that you need to get off to get this cowling off is down underneath that wiper. This takes a 15mm socket. have to do to get your wiper blade off is push down here like that, and it'll pop that apart. And then I used a little pry bar here just to grab a hold of it under there while it's down and pull it up. Just that simple. Okay, we got all the screws out. Now we're going to take this piece here off. One. The other one, we're going to put them up on the roof. The next thing you remove is this piece right in here. And that'll give us more room down inside. 13 millimeters next. These bolts for this crossover piece. Just a heads up, guys and gals. These two bolts up on top, which happen to be right on top of the suspension tower, may be very difficult getting out. If you live in an area like I do here in Minnesota, where they use lots of salt on the roads and rust is a problem, I got one out on this side. The other one is coming out, but very hard, so I've sprayed it down with PB Blaster. And on the other side, I was pulling them out, and I was using my extended handle ratchet to get them out, and one of them broke. See that? And I should have been more patient and waited for the penetrating oil to go down in there further. That's just a warning. Well, I've been out here for probably, oh, I don't know, 45 minutes or so, about that. And we're up over 50 degrees in here. So much so, I just turned off the heater. And while those stubborn bolts are getting soaked in penetrating oil, I'm going to take a lunch break. So I'll be back in no time at all. For you, it'll be 0 time.